I'm often asked, how do I grow as a leader? And there's a couple of different ways that I would suggest for you to grow as a leader. Now, there is no better teacher than experience, but not just going through experience as a leader, but really being able to be evaluative of yourself, be self-reflective, ask for feedback, have a sounding board with people that you're leading to where you're learning as you go through the leadership process. And that's super important, but you've got to be open to that from the start. The next thing I would suggest is the idea of getting a mentor, someone that's just a few more steps down the road than you, to help guide you, and meet with that mentor regularly. Talk through some of the things that you're wanting to grow in, learn from their experience as well. So that's a great way to grow as a leader. The other thing is be a learner, be consuming information, and be pursuing growth for yourself. And for me, there's always going to be a book that I'm reading or some videos that I'm watching to help grow me as a leader. So I wanted to give you guys my top 5 leadership books. These are books that I go back to over and over again. They're books that I've taught from as I'm developing leaders in our organization here as well. And so let me share just those top 5 with you. And they're not in any particular order. So let me grab the top one here. The first one here is Good to Great by Jim Collins. This is a phenomenal book. For me, I love that it's research based. He is going to evaluate different organizations and see how they performed, and then it worked with the research team to really develop the concepts within this book. And there's great things there, like start with who, then what, when you're talking about your business or your organization. The other thing for me, concepts like the hedgehog concept are critical. And there's lots of great nuggets throughout that whole book. I love the idea of the level 5 leader, where there's this personal humility coupled with the professional will. That to me is something that sort of speaks to me and how I want to drive and lead in my organization as well. Now, there is a little bit of a leap that you have to make sometimes in the nonprofit sector. So we're not always looking for profit. So as you look through this book, Good to Great, think in terms of what is success for you and your organization. For me and our organization here, it's about impact. It's about sustainability. It's about being able to have that sort of life-giving workplace as well. So those are key successes for us, and that's what we define as success for us as an organization. But we can apply the principles talked about in Good to Great to this organization here, and it's been very effective. The next book I will share with you is called Switch by Dan and Chip Heath. They did a phenomenal job. This is chock full of just really clear advice on how to help an organization go through transition. And I think if you're leading an organization that's going through some changes or transitions, or if you're going through that personally, this is a great book for you to look at to get some insight and understanding about why that's so difficult, and also some thoughts about how you can make that a little bit easier. So he's got concepts in there like shaping the path, finding the feeling, and growing your people. So great ideas. I also love that they apply mental health approaches in this book, and namely solution-focused brief therapy, which is an approach that I'm trained in. You can start to see, and they really credit some of their ideas to that particular model. So for me, the idea of marrying the leadership and the mental health side and being able to gain the knowledge from that is so cool to see. And they do a great job of applying that into organizational leadership. The next book that I would recommend is one by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And he is a great speaker. He's got TED Talks and other lectures that you can watch. He's phenomenal in that way. This particular book looks at the idea of how do you communicate in such a way as a leader that you can inspire those that you lead. Really the idea of beginning with your sense of purpose and meaning, because that is what drives people. Oftentimes as in organizations, we start talking about what we do, how we do it, and we neglect why we're here and why we're doing this and the impact that we want to have. And that is really where he suggests we start when we communicate. And what I found over the years is that you think about that in terms of communicating externally, but also internally. If you're in a nonprofit, you would think that it's sort of built in. We're here to serve kids. We're here to do this great thing. But we've got to keep reorienting ourselves to our sense of purpose and what drives us in terms of the meaning. That's important for your staff to keep reorienting, because the drudgery of the day, sometimes the tasks are hard, the work is difficult. You as a leader have got to be continuously reminding people why we are here and the impact that we're having. So it's a great book to learn how to communicate effectively as a leader, to really inspire those that you lead and get the community bought in to what it is that you're doing. Now, the next book is a great book, and it will test you. It's called Integrity. It's by Dr. Henry Cloud. Um, and it is about really identifying what is in you that may be holding you back from succeeding. It's about developing the sense of character that is necessary to meet the demands of reality. And that's one of the things I love about this book, is this idea that if we know what is reality, we know what the difficulties are that we're facing, we can step up to the challenge. But if we are fooling ourselves or each other about the reality of a situation, that's where we're really in trouble. And so there's great concepts in here, like the wake. And that's, if you're thinking about a boat moving through water, there's ripples that go behind the boat called the wake. So what is the wake that you leave as a leader? What's your presence like? And really evaluating that. And that's a way for you to understand who you are and how you're doing as a leader, so that you can avoid pitfalls of not reaching your potential, of getting derailed, or even worse, succeeding only to then sort of self-destruct and lose what you've worked so hard for. So great book, Dr. Henry Cloud, Integrity. And the last little book that I want to share with you is actually it's an essay. And don't let the size of this thing fool you. It is very heavy. The Servant as Leader by Robert Greenleaf. This was the first leadership book that was handed to me by my mentor and leader for many, many years. And the idea here is that as a servant leader, you're supposed to serve first. So my role in the organization I'm in as a CEO is to support and serve the staff so that they can go out into the community and serve the children that we serve in our communities. And my job is really to serve first. And that has to come from me first. I have to orient myself from that perspective. And that can sometimes be hard because we're people and we have personal agendas and things that we want to drive for ourselves. But it really comes down to what is in the best interest of those we are here to serve. What is in the best interest of the organization and the people in our community. And so it's got ideas and concepts around that, areas of your character and traits that you need to focus on, like awareness and foresight and empathy, and things that will really test you in that. Now, I will say this is not a book to try to sit down and read all at once. It's one to sort of digest a little bit at a time. The times that I've been through it, sort of start to finish, I've kept a journal. So I'd read a little bit or a section, and then I journal from that. How is it impacting me? What's resonating with me? And I would suggest that for each of the books that I named as suggestions for you, to go through these books, go back to the concepts, journal how they've hit you, how you can apply them in your organization. And that may be something that I do later on in another video, is take one of these books and really talk through how I've been able to apply that in the organization that I lead as well. But I wanted to share these books with you. They've been influential in my life, and I want to help you take that next right step on your leadership journey.